Hi guys, last week I made this radish kimchi and it was so salty, spicy and delicious. I made it because I had a lot of leftover radish from making this classic kimchi, and seeing as kimchi is a brilliant way of preserving vegetables, I made this second batch. So start off with about 1 kilogram of this daikon radish. These are a lot more common than the Korean radish used in Korea, but it has a very similar taste and texture. And go ahead and peel it. This is what I had left over for making the classic kimchi yesterday. Next, just dice it up into maybe 2 centimeter cubes and add them to a large mixing bowl. Sprinkle over about 2 tablespoons of sea salt flakes, followed by 2 tablespoons of sugar. You can use white sugar if you like, but I prefer brown sugar because it's got a more complex flavour and it's less refined, a bit like me. Now stir that all up so that the salt and sugar are dispersed throughout the radish. Now set it aside for about an hour, giving it a stir every 15 minutes. Now take 5 or 6 cloves of garlic and mince them up as fine as you can. Now take about 50 grams of fresh peeled ginger and mince that up too with the garlic. Try to get it as fine as possible here. You don't want big chunks of garlic or ginger in the end result. Which is why I switched to my mezzaluna. These things are great for this kind of job. If you have a mini food processor, use that, but they're such a pain to wash afterwards. It's easier to do these jobs with a knife. Now set all that to one side when you slice up your spring onion. I've only got 2 here, but they are really fat. If you've got normal kind of spring onions, I'd say use 4 or 5. Now set those aside as well while you chop up a carrot. This needs to be sliced into julienne strips or really thin matchsticks. If you have an implement that'll do this, a mandolin or some sort of food processor attachment, I'd use that because this takes a long time. Now add 50 milliliters of fish sauce to a measuring jug, and then add 40 grams of gochugaru, which is Korean chili powder. I'm weighing the jug here, re-zeroing it, and then adding the gochugaru that way to make sure that it's completely accurate. I'm sorry to say that this gochugaru is quite hard to come by and there's really no alternative to it, so you can just buy it online. Don't try to use regular chili powder, it's way too hot and has a completely different flavour. Now mix that up really well until you get a really thick paste. Then set it aside until the radish has had its hour with the salt and sugar. You can see there that the salt and sugar have leached out an awful lot of water from the radish. So pour off about 100 milliliters of that liquid and add it to your chili paste. Mix it all up and pour off the rest of that salty sugary liquid and discard it. Now add all of that fresh veg to your radish and give it a quick toss up. Then pour over that thick chili sauce. Mix it up really well, making sure that each piece of radish is nicely coated in the sauce. Now transfer to a large mason jar. If you don't have a large mason jar, then just save up a few jam jars maybe, but just make sure that they're sterilised. You can sterilise them by just running them through a hot cycle of a dishwasher. Or you could use a traditional Korean ongi for this. I kind of have my eye on one online. So once it's filled, press it down pretty hard with the back of a wooden spoon so that you force all the trapped air pockets up to the surface. Then give the rim a quick wipe and just close it up. I think these look so beautiful as they are. They're almost like works of art, I think. And just set it on the worktop to ferment for a few days at room temperature. I've got it sitting next to my cabbage kimchi. So maybe 3 days later, open it up again and with the back of a wooden spoon, push all those radish cubes back down into their own juices. That bubbling you see is a really good sign. It means that fermentation is happening. Then close it up and transfer it to the fridge to ferment for another few days or a few weeks, months, even years. So a week later I took it out, opened it up and served it with some kale and a fried egg for a really light lunch. But this is delicious in so many things, on salads, in stews, omelets, or just on top of some meat or fish. This stuff really is so delicious. Whenever I think of it now, my mouth starts to water, and it's a really good way of getting one of your 5 a day. Thanks a million for watching, guys. I really hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the like button below and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And let me know on social media how you got on if you tried this recipe. You'll find all the links to my social media accounts in the description below, as well as the link to my classic kimchi video and the link to my blog where you'll find this full recipe at www.rookiecook.org.